I made some new friends this past week, and they all gave me the gift of karting. Welcome back, classy crew, to another journal entry in my journey to complete all the quests in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. That's a lot of quests, and this past week was a busy one in terms of progressing forward. So I thought I was going to unlock Malzeno, and I did unlock him, but I didn't have the time to fight him. So instead, I fought a whole smorgasbord of new monsters, including Magala Almudron, Espinas, Nakodaki, and Gore Magala, which there is a lot to say about all of these. These were all new experiences for me. Magala Almudron and the Pyrarachna were variants or subspecies. We never know. I never know. And I have a lot of thoughts because I went in with a lot of expectations. Specifically Gore Magala. I was expecting this thing to be death incarnate. And it turned out to be a really fun fight, not that difficult, and just not as terrifying as I was expecting. Whereas on the flip side, Espinas, I was expecting to be more like the other two, Astalos and, what's the other one? Steve. Espinas, the freaking thing made me cart twice, and I was scared I was going to lose out on that hunt. And it was chunky too. It was the biggest one. So it turned out to be a gold crown in the end. But I'm just like, is Espinas supposed to be this big? This thing was massive. Like it had thick legs and everything. And it was just bulldozing me over like a tank. It was ridiculous. So I'm going to get more into my hunts. But in terms of progress, I really just focus on progress. So I mostly did Master Rank 4 quests, which is what I think I'm doing. And I've just unlocked Master Rank 5's, what's it called? The Malzeno. So we found the potion to heal Fiorane, so that chapter is all taken care of. We all have happy feeling. And we're like, all right, now it's time for the counterattack. So that's what I've got up next. So when I started this stream, I did advance the follower quests. I'm really enjoying doing these. I did a lot with Luchika, so I really enjoy hunting with her, but I don't enjoy how she keeps carting and or fainting, I don't know what we want to call it, how she keeps just trashing on the floor, and you got to be like, wake up. There's one hunt, I think she lost her health 5-6 times. Now, to be fair, I'm starting to realize it could be my fault. Maybe the game is teaching me, hey, buddy, use some life powders. And I've never really used life powders before because, well, I don't have a good reason. I find my comfort zone and then I just keep doing it. And I always say being pushed out of your comfort zone is really important. So perhaps it is time for me to add 2 new items to my loadout. So of course I need the life powders to keep Luchika alive and to keep my friends alive when we do multiplayer, but also bombs. I've been getting into a lot of situations where the monster falls asleep, mostly because I usually find a sleep toad, and I was like, oh, what am I going to wake it up with? And then I just do an invasion sensation boom to the ear. And it's not quite as powerful as, let's say, if I put 2 bombs next to it. So I should carry bombs and life powders now. I also went on my first quest with Arlo. He didn't really stand out much to me. He was very quiet, and I was expecting more from him. People were very excited, like, yes, you're going on your follower quest with Arlo. I'm like, all right, let's see what this guy's all about. And he didn't really say much. He was kind of like the silent father type. So maybe we're going to get more out of him, but his quest line has started. And I don't know. There is something kind of addicting about the follower quest line, because you see them in the hub, you go on a quest, and they give you a little bit of a story. It's not the most like exciting story, but then you go out with them, then they give you a little piece of gear that's relevant to them, and then that unlocks the next quest, and I don't know, that progression just feels really rewarding. After the follower quest, it was Magala Almudron. Now Almudron, the base one, I mean, I needed to farm this thing to get my good switch axe build in Monster Hunter Rise. And so I have developed this kindred spirit of, this is the monster for my weapon. But I can never really say I loved Almudron. He's a big, disgusting hermit covered in mud. He's long, he's snaky-like. I've never really been that big of a fan of him. So Magala Almudron, I wasn't really looking forward to too much out of this. But I have to say, I way prefer Magala Almudron over Almudron. Maybe it's just because the fire element makes him cooler, but no, it's really his attack. So instead of like the guy just leaning back and like mud slap, it's more like just like, oh, death is coming at me in the sense of fire, and he's got like these like really cool attacks, and he's just more of a spectacle to look at. So I'm like, okay, do your spectacle, I'll dodge you, and then I will hit you. So for the most part, I don't have too much to say about Magala Almudron. His armor looks all right, but it's again that futuristic armor, and I'm not about the futuristic look in Monster Hunter. I do like more the rustic and the like knightly like stuff, or like really unique things, like Espinas. We're going to talk about that guy. So actually that's the next monster. So the armor set is very basic for the hunter. I didn't really enjoy it that much, but the Palamute armor set is fantastic from Espinas. He gets some like really cool glasses, and he looks like a freaking like disco doggo, and I love that. So my Palamute is fully decked out in Espinas armor, and I hope I'm saying that right.
No.
This fight, so I knew, I had heard during the fight, during the hype, that this thing's fireball was disgusting. It burns, paralyzes, and poisons you. I'm like, I don't want to get hit by any of that. But I did know, I may have forgotten about the paralysis part, honestly. But I went in knowing he had poison. So first thing I do is I'm like, well, I'm not going to mess around with this boy. I don't know how he attacks. I'm going to put some protection on me. So I went full poison defense so that he couldn't poison me. So I'm like, all right, we got one thing out of the way, and the rest is just figuring out what he does. And then of course I show up, he's sleeping, I'm banging on him, and he's like, and when he gets up, he's just so massive. Like, he's not just your typical wyvern. He's just a tank. That's like, I just kept looking at him. That's a tank. And this thing would, so I didn't get hit by a single fireball through the whole fight, much to the chat's dismay. And I got hit by, I think it was his charge up, or maybe it was his spin, or maybe it was both. That just kind of came out of nowhere because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know the fight. So once I did learn the fight, I was able to maneuver around him a lot better. And I don't know if it's because it was a gold crown, but his tail move basically couldn't hit me because he was so far off the ground. So that kind of helped make the fight better. But for the most part, it was so unforgiving in terms of how hard he would hit. That's what I found hardest about the fight. The maneuvering and all of that was pretty easy. It was pretty fun to learn, but it was when you just didn't get out of the way, you're like, boom, carded. And so that is what I found really difficult about Espinas. I'm just going to switch the pronunciation as I go until someone confirms it. So fun fight. I really enjoyed it. I think it really helped that I didn't get hit by the fireball. I think it could have been a lot worse. Oh, I think actually, yeah, I died because of stupid Lagacruz. No, not Lagacruz. He's not in this game. Nargacuga. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I am building a freaking hostile relationship with Nargacuga. So I was fighting Espinas. And then off to the side, he just kind of like growls and stuns me. I get stunned by a freaking Nargacuga growl. And then Espinas was like, boom, get out of the way, Hunter. So they kind of they tag team me, and then they fought each other. So huge bullshit. I have really a lot of dislike against Nargacuga. For those who don't know, I still haven't beaten the Lucent Nargacuga in Monster Hunter 3U, and that's where Nargacuga has really left an impression on me. In Rise and World, I didn't really care about him. I called him Batman. I didn't even have enough respect to use his name. But after 3U, first there was the green Nargacuga, which humbled me, and then there was the Lucent Nargacuga, which is still... And now in Sunbreak, freaking base Nargacuga is just causing trouble wherever he goes. So this boy is asking for a beatdown, and I'm going to rack up my Nargacuga kill count sooner or later. Next is the Pyrak Nakodaki, which to me, this is a very interesting monster because I've never seen a monster have a sequel. This feels like the designers looked at Nakodaki and were like, this is not good. Let's make it more like this. Because it's not a variant. It's not like it's an ice spider. It literally is a fire spider with more moves. And I can't think of another monster, and I'm sure chat's going to be like, blah, 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 blah. Here's a list of them. But Pyrak Nakodaki was a much better fight, way more threatening than the base Nakodaki. It's just disgusting sack. It's the gross spider. I love like smacking the sack and killing all the babies. But man, it is so threatening how it now has threads with like spider bombs on it, and it throws spider bombs and moves around. The fight is really cool. The mechanics are really cool. It's gross because it's a spider, but I think that's part of the charm. Otherwise, it's great. Like, there's nothing, if you're not a Switch Axe user, like, get a Switch Axe, learn Invasion Sensation, stick to that big old disgusting throbbing bag on its back, and just, that is one of the most satisfying things you can do with an Invasion Sensation. Like, yeah, sure, you can stick to any monster and go brrrr in all of its body part, but when you can blow up a bag of baby spiders and then slay all the spiders, yeah, that's the stuff. And then finally, then we unlocked Gore Magala, which I was surprised this was not an urgent fight. To me, Gore has the presence of like serious badass monster, And they just kind of put him there in the list of, oh, you've unlocked another quest, go fight him. I was like, really? Really? This is how you're going to introduce this guy? Introduced to me, at least. And I know he's from Monster Hunter 4U, a game I have not played, and I've heard that they do a much better job at introducing him there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how I'm supposed to be discovering Gore. It really sounds like 4U has a lot in it, because so many people reference 4U in a lot of ways, and I'm like, oh, man, kind of wish I did this game. But anyways, for the most part, he was also pretty easy to dodge. Super beautiful. I love his like flowing, I don't even know what to call it, but like he's got like this flowing nature around him. He's got the freaking terrifying face, and he's just like oozing in darkness. Like, this is the Prince of Darkness. So he was just really fun to fight. And then I got frenzied, and I don't understand why I should be concerned about frenzy. So at first I'm like, and Arlo's like, hit the monster to get rid of frenzy. So I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, wait, doesn't this make me frenzy by like being more aggressive? So anyways, you hit the monster a lot, it clears frenzy and everything's okay. But then later on, I couldn't hit the monster enough and I became frenzied and nothing happened. And the chat was like, you want to be frenzied. And I'm like, why? Why do I want to be frenzied? What's the frenzy? Does it do more damage? I don't understand. The game did not do a good job at explaining to me, do I want to be frenzied or do I not want to be frenzied? Because it made it sound like you don't want to be frenzied. I was expecting like a lot of damage to my health or something, but I don't know what happened. Do I take more damage because of frenzy? I still don't know. So anyways, the fight went on and I slayed him and it was a good time. And now Malzeno is coming up. And I really hope, honestly, Malzeno is going to humble me a little bit, because I feel like I just kind of breezed through. Like, out of those four monsters, Espinas and Pyrorak Nakodaki were good. Like, they lived up to expectation. Magala Almudron, actually, like, I didn't have expectations there, so it was fine. But I think it's a Gore Magala that disappointed me a little bit. And that's why I'm like, oh, I was expecting more. Like, I was expecting this thing to cart me twice at least. Hey, even fail the quest. I don't care. I haven't done that in a while. So yeah, maybe we'll have a harder version of him later. I know I'm going to live to regret this. I know the event quest and the end game is going to be brutal and I'm going to cry like a little boy, but I guess I'll be cocky for now because this is the only window I have to do so. So next up, we got Malzeno. Hopefully I'll see you on stream as I take him on, and then I have no idea what's left after that. I can't imagine how many more monsters we have, but I think everything's going to start getting like blighted and like souped up. So yeah, it feels like the game's going to turn into a whole different kind of game soon. So I'll see you on that stream or on the next journal. And until next time, keep it classy. Subscribe.